Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Dennis, my pronouns are he, him. I am the NASFA Training and Development Stream Student Lead. So it's nice to have you here. And thank you to our participants, specifically Ellie, Erin, and Nancy, who volunteered so kindly to talk you all through their fundraising today. So I'll just quickly ask them to introduce themselves. But before I do that, I'll just remind everyone to keep yourself muted unless you talk. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question, but obviously it is being recorded. If you want to ask a question in the chat, then no one will know, and I'll just read it out loud without your name on it. So feel free to do that as well. But now, if we can just go to our panelists, and if each of you could introduce yourself and your fundraiser, and then just explain a little bit the story through your fundraising journey, how you've come from beginning to so far, what you've been doing with all your creative fundraising, and how you've developed as a person, what skills you've gained through it. Just a little story. I think we'll just start with Ellie, because Ellie, you're first on my screen.
Hi. So I'm Ellie. I'm a second year student at Derby University studying zoology. And I've been fundraising for a really long time now because of COVID. And my fundraising is for the charity Dig Deep for my climb of Mount Kilimanjaro. So yeah, as I said, I've been doing it for quite a while now. And at the start, I was definitely really uncomfortable and unconfident in approaching different people for fundraising events. I kept getting rejections from my school and shops and things like that. And then with lockdown, I had a bit of extra time, so I started making polymer clay earrings, and I really enjoyed being creative with my fundraiser. And I wouldn't say I'm that creative, but I'm quite a creative person. I enjoy doing things like that. So putting a bit of myself into my fundraiser made it really enjoyable, and it made me more confident sharing it because I was happy with the results and I felt happy to sort of sell that on to people to get the money for fundraising. So I really enjoyed doing that. And then I did some square raffles on Facebook, which raised quite a lot of money. And I started selling my secondhand clothes and secondhand stuff through eBay. And it just made me, I started becoming more confident, started asking more friends and families to share posts on Facebook, and sort of realizing that they were happy to help me. It's not rude to ask for help, especially during these current circumstances. So that helped me getting people to share it. So it wasn't just my friends seeing it, it was my mum's friends, my dad's friends. And yeah, that's basically what I've done up to now. I'm not making the earrings as much anymore with university deadlines and things like that, but I'm still selling stuff secondhand and thinking of some more creative ideas to do for that last little push at the end.
Thank you, Ellie. For everyone here, I obviously forgot to say that the topic of the panel is building confidence through fundraising.
Yeah.
If you haven't guessed it yet, but here we are, and I'll just go on to Erin.
Yeah, hi, I'm Erin. I'm a third year English Literature with Creative Writing student from UEA. I've been fundraising since about October for the UEA Three Peaks Challenge, which we'll hopefully be doing in June. It's been quite a fun journey in terms of fundraising. I've not done it before and I've really enjoyed it so far. I think similar to Ellie, when I first started out, I was quite nervous about asking people for things, asking for help. But it's been such a positive experience. People have wanted to get involved, businesses have wanted to get involved and offer their help, which has been really, really nice. In terms of stuff that I've done, I did 100 kilometers in a month, walked 100 kilometers in a month. I read 7 books in 7 days, spread word around my kayak club at university. They've already been keen to help, which has been really lovely. At the moment in March, UEA is doing a 5,000 kilometer, I think it's kilometer, George and Josh are here, they'll probably correct me on that. Trying to walk or run that amount of distance in this month, which is a good challenge, a very good challenge. And on Friday, I'll be doing my final big fundraiser. I've already surpassed my target, which is really cool. And thanks to the generosity of lots of people. And on Friday, my final fundraiser will be filling a paddling pool with lots of baked beans and sitting in it on a live stream on Facebook. So good times, yeah. But yeah, it's been a great journey so far. I feel much more confident because of it.
Thank you, Erin. That's a lot of things there that you've mentioned, but I'm sure people have more questions towards like all the different challenges that you've mentioned. And then the last panelist that we've got here is Nancy.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm a first year student of politics and international relations. I didn't do as much things as Erin, but I started off fundraising out of nowhere. I come from Italy originally, and fundraising is not a thing. So I was quite lost at the beginning, wanting to give up straight away, but then I had the motivation around me, and obviously, like with the situation that we find ourselves in, you need something like to motivate you. So that was my my motivation basically. And fundraising wise, what I did was at Christmas I went back to Rome and I went around the city just because obviously people can't travel, so I thought like get the situation and make it a strength. So I showed people around the city and it was amazing. Like I discovered parts of the city that I didn't know about, and I sold a load of school books that were just cramping my room everywhere. And basically I just reached out to family, friends, and it was a really good opportunity to like get in contact with people, because I never for me social media, two different worlds, we weren't too distant, and now I've learned to use it a bit more, so it's good.
Thank you, Nancy. Just to clarify, so obviously you just mentioned that you showed people around Rome. Do you mean like virtually?
Yeah. I made videos and pictures, which was a challenge for myself because, like for instance, I saw in my life so many people taking videos and pictures of the Colosseum. It was so difficult. It's so big, but I managed kind of with my non-photographer skills. But you do what you can do.
Yeah, no, well done. I think just giving people the opportunity to think of any follow-up questions now and just put them in the chat. But whilst you do that, I'll just kind of come back to every panelist and ask them like a follow-up specifically on their fundraiser and like how they went about it. So Ellie, if I'm okay to just come back to you quickly and like, could you describe like, because obviously I imagine you've never made jewelry before that or like earrings. So, how did the idea come across to you? Like, how did you start the process? Where did you start? Like, how did it work out at the end? Like, how did you make it into a fundraiser? Like all of that stuff.
Yeah, so no, I hadn't made jewelry before, but I feel like, I don't know if it's just me, but with the first lockdown, everyone was sort of trying new things because it was like, it was summer, like we didn't have uni. So I just saw that people were doing like different things like that. And I decided to give it a go, not really initially for a fundraiser, just because I wanted to give it a go. And then I realized that they were actually quite nice and they're pretty good. So I decided to first make a Instagram to post pictures and to sell them to just sort of like my friends. I then shared the Instagram on Facebook, so my parents and everyone else could start sharing it. And then I actually made an Etsy as well, because obviously then it gets more sort of worldwide and things like that. And as well as that, my dad, with lockdown, they were doing like these 5-minute meetings in the morning, to check up on each other. And he like put pictures on a little PowerPoint, and I got quite a lot of customers, like I think 3 or 4 from like my dad's friends. So that was really helpful as well. So yeah, it just sort of started off because it was something fun to do in lockdown. And then I realized actually this could be a fundraiser, and it's not hard. It's not, stressful. It's something I enjoyed doing. And I just shared it through different platforms.
No, that's amazing. Thanks, Ellie. I know that one of my mates essentially at uni, she's fundraising for her master's degree through, or crowdfunding, I guess, crowd raising, through selling earrings as well that she home makes. So yeah, no, that is a great, very, I guess, out of the box idea, not something you'd normally.
yeah, it was really fun to do.
How many pairs have you sold, if we can ask, so far, and like stuff like
To be honest, I wouldn't know. Like I said, I don't do it as much anymore with uni because I'm a bit of a perfectionist with it. Like, I don't want to sell ones that I don't like, so it can take me like a full day to get a design properly done. But yeah, at least like I want to say at least 30, 40. I don't even know. Like, because I originally sold them to a couple of my friends, so that might have been like 5 or 6, and then it was my mum's friends, my dad's friends, my sister's friends. So and I think I sold 2 or 3 off Etsy. I didn't do as many off Etsy as I probably would have wanted to, but it's just all about trying different routes, isn't it? So I don't mind having the account still.
Yeah, fair enough. No, okay. Well done. Okay, then, Erin, let's go to you and your plentiful of challenges. I'm not sure. I think so. Obviously, you've mentioned walking 100K. I know like that a lot of people do like walking challenges. I myself walked 70 kilometers in one day. That was quite exciting. Um, for November. But yeah, how did you go about the walks and then bring it onto the books afterwards? We want to hear them all.
Oh, yeah. So the 100 kilometers pretty much came about in terms of training. I was keen to get my miles up, my kilometers up in preparation for the challenge. It's been a while since I've done proper hikes, so I wanted to get back into it because it is something that I really enjoy, apart from it being like 3 peaks and stuff. And in terms of fundraising, it's the big numbers that really impress people. I find that they see on their Facebook feed or their Instagram and they think, yeah, that's awesome. I'll donate to that. So finding something that will challenge you and will prepare you for the challenge that you'll undertake, and will impress people along the way is always good to do. So you know, in when I first started the 100 kilometers, I planned on doing 3.3 kilometers or thereabouts a day. It didn't work out like that. There were a couple of sort of panic runs of 20 kilometers, which was interesting. I think it got below freezing in one of them, and definitely very dark. But yeah, it's all part of the fun. And one of them, I posted to my Instagram story a lot and got people to send in songs for me to listen to while I was on the walk, and that got like a lot of engagement, which was really fun. In terms of like donations, it encourages people to donate, but I think also in terms of safety, it's good to have people to check in on you when you're doing those kinds of things, like to make sure that the fundraisers are safe for you to do. So yeah, and that was a successful fundraiser to do in itself, a good challenge. The books was definitely harder, I found. I think I chose a strange time to do it, about when my dissertation was due. So 7 books in 7 days was a tall order. Uh, in so when I did that challenge, I tried to choose like a variety of books. Some were short, some were long. One of them was actually one of my favorite books, which is a bit of a cheap book because it's a lot of pictures, but sometimes it's got to be done. And people were impressed with that as well. I got a few donations, but definitely the most successful ones have been the creative ones that you keep people updated on regularly. So the books I was posting every day, which is not something I usually do. I don't like post on Facebook, so this has been an interesting few months. And definitely the bean one coming up has had a lot of people asking about it. A lot of people quite excited about seeing something strange on Facebook Live. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, well done. I think there is, yes, you said like things like challenges, when it's like impressive numbers, impressive things, it does really like encourages people to donate to you. And as you said, like keeping people engaged through like either constant posts or like, sending you songs through stuff like that is also like, it's a nice way of making people feel like they're part of your fundraiser as well. Even if they don't necessarily donate, they can still kind of like partake in it. I was gonna leave the questions till the end, but since there is a question like directly to what you just said, I thought I'll just mention. So, did you let donors choose your books for you, or did you pick them yourselves?
Yeah, so I chose the books for myself, but that is a really good idea to let the donors choose the books for you. I think the only thing I'd be cautious of there is that there might be a few friends who are like, oh, yeah, I'll challenge you to read this book, which is like 700 pages long. And that's a difficult one to complete. But that is a really good idea. And asking to donate once you've started the challenge. I only ask people to donate after I'd started, just so that they know that you're doing it, they can see that you're doing it, and it's not like you asking for money and them not having the confirmation that you're actually following through, which is obviously not what they want.
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, but yeah, I guess there are pros and cons to both things, like whatever, whichever you want to do. But yeah, I mean, seven books is definitely more than a fair few people that I've met have read in their lives, probably. So, well done on that. And then, just quickly back to Nancy then, before we move on with the questions. So you obviously mentioned like, yeah, well, I guess I've never heard something similar, like making like virtual tours of Rome. And I guess it was slightly helpful that you are from such a like touristy location yourself that you could make those virtual tours. I definitely know that if I made virtual tours of the village in Russia that I'm from, I highly doubt anyone would have watched that. But like, how
I
did you
would.
really? How did you come up with the idea? Like, how did it even like come to you? Like, oh, let me make like tours. And how did you make it into fundraiser? Like, did people donate to watch it, or was it just an engaging page that people liked interacting with? Like, how did you go about it?
Well, it started randomly just because during Christmas, Rome was in red zone. So there was nothing that literally nothing that we could do. The only thing was going on walks. And obviously, like say in Nottingham, you go for walks and you see trees and countryside. In Rome, you see big monuments. There's loads of history behind it, and it was like the first time for me actually stopping and seeing things, and it was like, whoa, it's actually a really nice city. So I started taking pictures, and then like out of nowhere they said like let me like structure something for a fundraiser. It might be fun maybe. And so that I did that, like that's how it started. And then like I would ask people what they wanted to see, if they wanted to dig in something else a bit more. So I had some family friends that were like really active, saying like take zooms of the statues, which on like for me statues beautiful, but I would never take a zoom of them. So it was interesting to see what other people were more interested in. And yes, it was also because it started also because I had a family member that wasn't too well, so he couldn't leave the house and see his city where he was born, so that gave him like the possibility of seeing around and made him happy. So I was happy too. So it was something for myself and for other people.
That is really nice that you could like do it for like some personal reason as well as having it as a fundraiser at the same time. So it almost like kept everyone happy in a way and like had a lot of positive impacts in different ways on different people. Very well done. I mean, I applaud you for thinking of something like that. I genuinely have never heard of something similar.
Well, it's because of COVID. No one can try. The thing is, I like to travel. So the fact that I can't travel, I wish that someone would do a travel of Prague, of Vienna, show me around. So I did it in Rome.
No, amazing. I'll make sure to send you some of Loughborough if it's any helpful. Okay, there are quite a couple of questions that I have. I think this one might be a quick one, but just like a little quick fire. What activity, and I feel like everyone always has the question, what activity brought you the most money? Ellie, let's start with you.
Mine was probably, even though I've been talking about the earrings, it was actually probably either the square raffles, because they were like free. Oh, sorry, Phil. They were like £3 a square, and I got a company to sponsor the gift, so everything was profit. or they're selling stuff secondhand, because to be honest, like most people, if you say it's for a charity, they don't mind bidding that extra couple of quid or whatever. So I've actually made a lot of money. I used my mum's eBay because I didn't have an eBay account, and hers was quite like established. So she already had people that would check up on it. So selling clothes, different books, things like that secondhand has made me loads of money, to be fair.
Fair enough, thank you. And then Erin, what brought you the most money?
The wackiest one, which is the Friday bean challenge. People have found it quite amusing to think of me sat in a bean bath. You know, whatever floats your boat. But yeah, definitely the fun ones bring the most money in.
And what about you, Nancy? What out of your fundraisers you found was the most profitable?
For me, the most helpful was just sending the message to all contacts, family contacts. Simple, but it worked.
Yeah, I feel like chasing people up definitely, like it's definitely something to do, like that does bring money back, because people kind of almost feel obliged in a way to like give you something when you send them a personal message. Okay, and then I guess on that note, what advice would you give to someone who doesn't necessarily feel confident enough to like get started with their fundraising, or like to go out there, you know, posting stuff, messaging? Yeah, I don't know. Ellie, what advice would you give people in terms of starting?
I can completely understand, because like I said at the start, I didn't really want to post on Facebook and stuff, and I didn't really want to ask my friends. But when you think about it, it's for a charity. Like no one is going to think you're weird for doing something like that. Like if you're doing these things, it's so like I don't know, it's so out there and so different that most people are like, oh, that's really cool. Like whenever I tell people I'm climbing Kilimanjaro, they're like, what? How? You know what I mean? So I think it's just sort of getting past the idea that you're interrupting people's lives, or it's weird if you post these things, because it's really not. And like I sort of said before, do something that you enjoy. I mean, the wacky ideas, they're really good as well, because people will find them funny, and like people will donate on those. But for me, it was just finding something I enjoy. So then I didn't feel weird about sharing it, because I enjoyed it, and it wasn't like I was pushing it onto people because it sounds beginning, but I knew they were semi good. So I didn't feel like I was forcing people to spend money on bad things, sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's just finding something you enjoy, and just trying to get past the idea that what you're doing is bad, because it's not. Like you're helping some cause, really. So yeah.
Thank you, Ellen. No, definitely. I think it's the fact that obviously that impacts a lot more people than I guess just yourself in like such a positive way that helps.
Yeah, it's not about you. That's the thing. Like you think everything's about you, don't you? Like when you're worrying about stuff, everything's about you. But this is such a bigger cause. It's not about you, and most people understand that. So yeah.
Very wise words. Thanks, Ellie. And Erin, what advice would you give someone who doesn't feel very comfortable starting up?
I'd say get the first post out the way. That's like the hardest one that you'll find, is cringing at yourself posting on Facebook. Like if you're like me, you'd never have posted like a status before. It's all just reposting surveys and petitions and stuff. So getting the first one out the way, telling people that you're doing it, and just be yourself. You know, you've got your friends and your family are mostly your Facebook friends. So being yourself, putting little quirky emojis in there, like they're going to read it and be like, oh, that's my mate, you know, I'll donate, I'll help them out, this is a good cause, as Eddie says. Like you're not interrupting people's lives. And if it really bothers you, think of the post that you see on Facebook and the post that you miss on Facebook, which is most of them, I would think. And people aren't gonna, like old school friends or whoever, they're not gonna look at it and think, oh, that's so weird that they're doing that. They're gonna look at it and think like, oh, that's really good, that's really cool, it's for a good cause, you know, you're doing a good thing, and it's not something you should feel embarrassed or whatever about. You know, get that first post out of the way and you'll find that your confidence grows with it.
Definitely. Thanks, Erin. I feel like it's similar to, you know, like writing a coursework. Like once the title is written, it feels like you're kind of halfway there. Like it's like the starting point is the hardest one. Nancy, and what advice? I appreciate you are now the third person to give advice, so it might be a bit trickier, but I'm sure you have
No, I
advice.
agree with Erin in the sense of like the first messages, the first post, just write it down, close your eyes, send, and then like you think that no one will like interest in what you're doing, but actually when you start getting the comments and nice responses of appreciation and interest in what you're doing, you build up confidence slowly, so it keeps you going.
100%. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, and now that you've like all talked a little bit about like posts and stuff, there is another question. So when posting on social media, have you found it easier to post like over time, both in terms of, easier like personally, like was promoting it and promoting yourself, but also with like thinking of what to post? I appreciate, I mean, maybe elaborate on how you felt about it as well. Ellie, if you go first.
Yeah, so I think so. Do you mean like does it get easier as you post for longer?
I assume that's what the question says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, and also I think because after you've done like the first couple of posts, it's a lot of the time sort of resharing them and just adding to the original post. So like this is still going on sort of thing, and then just adding what you're doing it for. So I think, yeah, after you've got the first couple of posts done, until you start a new fundraising idea, it's a lot easier because you're sort of just resharing them or sharing new pictures, and you're sort of just adding on. It's like a storyboard sort of thing. So yeah, I definitely think it gets easier.
Yeah, okay. No, I definitely see that you can always like add how much you've raised so far and stuff like that, just kind of retweet, reshare, whatever.
Yeah, and I usually do like when you've got a certain way through your fundraising goal, like 79%, 50%, whatever, I usually do like an updated status because then people know like they're actually helping towards it and like you're actually pretty close. And it's just like the last push, so people might be like, oh, I'll just give you whatever, because she's so close anyway, sort of thing. So yeah, just like little update status, just so people know that you're still doing it, especially because of COVID. I know like I don't know when everyone else started, but I mean, I started doing this like literally ages ago because it was before COVID, and then so I was meant to go last summer, and then it got moved to this summer. So I think like these little updates just remind people it is still happening and you are still raising money and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. Erin, how did you find it over time? Do you find it easier, harder?
Yeah, it definitely gets easier over time. I think you get a routine going, you have like a draft post that you keep coming back to. I think mine's like an introduction, and then you thank and like tag the people who have donated recently to get them involved and say thank you. And then you tell them like about the new fundraiser that you're doing, or like Ellie says, tell them that you're close to a percentage or like a certain like goal. And then people like throw you a tenner and help you get to that goal, or see the fundraiser and they're like, oh, cool, nice one. And the more that you do that, and the more people will like it and share it, and you get the positive responses and donations, the more confident you get with it. And then if you want to, you can begin adding pictures, you can start adding videos. I know that there's a definite difference between my first Three Peaks post and the video that I've just posted on my Facebook. So, people like seeing it and people enjoy hearing from you, amongst like the other stuff that's on social media. So yeah, get a routine going, get a draft post that you keep coming back to, and then get a bit more adventurous with what you post.
Yeah, definitely. No, I feel like you've mentioned quite a few like really key things there. Like firstly, to have like a draft post that you could always kind of refer to and like pick apart or like pull up like different parts of it and use them. But then also to tag people who've supported you, because I feel like everyone appreciates a thank you. So like whenever you make it public, other people see like, oh, it's nice, like I'll do that too, kind of thing. And then obviously, like as you said, keeping it like, with different media and like pictures and videos, then people can actually like see what's happening, definitely. And then Nancy, how do you feel over time with posting and promoting?
It definitely became easier, and I understood that the best thing is to choose challenges that are in the long challenges, so you have a reason to be posting, like not out of nowhere, but you say, oh, it's day 1, day 2, day 3, and say that a person didn't see the first one, they see the third, they see maybe the 5th, the 7th, and they're like, and like they have the ability of seeing what you're doing. But I totally agree with Erin and Ellie.
Yeah, 100%. I think it almost like refers back to the idea of milestones that Alice mentioned, is when people can see that you achieve something like progressively over time, that they feel like, oh, like, yeah, they're still committed to the cause, like, let me support them on this occasion. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, don't leave it. Don't leave. If you have a 7-day challenge, do all 7 days, because if not, people are coming after you. I had that. It was scary.
Well, I guess once they've donated, it's not like they can get it back. But no, definitely. It's a good idea to stick to your challenges if you start it. So it's a question specifically to Ellie. So did you spend much on initial costs for making earrings? Did you worry that they would that they wouldn't sell, and you'd end up making a loss when trying to create them and stuff?
Yeah, I think that's important to consider. What I did actually with all my other fundraising ideas, all the money goes towards my like fundraising, so dig deep. But with the earrings at the start, all the money was going towards it. But then I realized I was actually spending more money than I was making, because as I got more customers, I was buying more colors, buying more tools and things like that. So then I started doing a percentage of the amount towards Kilimanjaro and just keeping back literally the bare minimum just to spend on like the clay and stuff like that, and just making sure I wrote that in my statuses that it was a percentage of the amount, so you're not misleading people. So yeah, I think that is definitely like a possibility of making a loss, but if you think about it from a business perspective, which is hard to do, especially as a zoologist, but I just sort of like thought about it in that way and thought, right, well, if I keep a tiny bit of percentage and that can go towards buying the clay, buying the materials to ship it, things like that, and trying to keep my prices sort of as low as possible, because obviously I wanted to keep them low because I wanted to attract more people. Like if they're too expensive, most people are just like, nah. So yeah, it's just about thinking about profit and thinking about things like that, which is, I guess, like a bit of extra effort, but because I was enjoying doing them, I didn't mind doing that. But yeah, I guess there is a possibility, so you just have to think it through, sort of thing.
No, 100%. I think that's a very important point that you mentioned there, Ellie, is the fact that, well, for any fundraiser, not just creative one, you should aim to make more profit. Well, you should aim to profit rather than get a loss, because you don't
Yeah,
want to.
exactly. Like if you're spending more than what you're making, then you're not profiting, really, are you? But so I just sat down and thought it through and just kept the bare minimum that I had to buy the supplies and still make as much money as I could for Dig Deep. So yeah, I just did that.
Yeah, no, definitely well done. I think there are other things that you've mentioned that was really good as well, is that like, well, not good, I think it's probably essential, is that you're very transparent about how much of it goes towards a charity.
Yeah, I think you have to you have to put in the status that is only like it's a profit of the amount or whatever, because otherwise you kind of are misleading people. I don't think anyone would mind, but it's just being thoughtful, isn't it? So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right then. I've got another little question for everyone here. So, what have you learned about yourself from fundraising during lockdown, if anything? And since Ellie, you've just talked, I'll move to Erin first.
I think it definitely built a lot of confidence, and it's instilled some kind of belief that I still have motivation, even though it's not sometimes not quite carried through to university coursework. I'm still motivated to keep fundraising and keep doing positive things and keep other people engaged as well. I think that the good thing about fundraising is that you have the opportunity to pull together lots and lots of people in your life and other people's lives. And especially in times like this during COVID, where we're all so far apart and sort of disengaged from each other, it's quite nice to have that sort of common thread that you can find between different groups of people. And getting people involved as well, you know, it teaches yourself that you have communication skills and you have different facets that you can offer to people. you know, you learn a lot about yourself in terms of how you communicate and what you can ask for, what you feel comfortable with, and what you can build, and how you can get out of your comfort zone, you know, in times where you might be shutting doors a little bit more and might not be taking those risks that you might usually take in a year. It's good to have the opportunity to do that in a different way.
100%. I don't even think I've got anything to add to reply, really, because I think I just completely agree with you. Nancy, how did you feel like? Have you learned anything about yourself whilst fundraising in lockdown?
Definitely determination. I usually never have plans. I'm all over the place. And having a fundraising, it made me plan out my life and say, I want to do this, I want to do this, I'll do this day, this the other day. So I'm not all over the place anymore. I'm a more stable person at the moment. And also, as Erin said, like just communicating with people. Like I traveled a bit in my life, so I have friends all over the place, and I never had reasons, like I do not know how to keep in contact, but this was a way of keeping in contact and seeing that people actually want to stay in contact, know how you are, and how you're doing, what you are doing, and reciprocate it, no? So that was a big discovery. So I'm learning how to keep in contact and have a planned life.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see what you mean there. I think especially with like planning and like routine, I'm myself not a planner at all, but there was like when I did November and I had to plan my week around, like, you know, those 3 runs a week that I've done, or like when I did Veganuary in January, that I had to like plan my meals. I've never ever planned my food before in my life, and I was like, oh wow, like this is like a whole new world to me. But yeah, so I can definitely see what you mean there with like getting a bit more like planning and routine in there. Ellie, what did you learn about yourself in lockdown?
I feel like I'm just gonna repeat what everyone said, but yeah, it's sort of the same, like planning, actually being able to get my head down and do something. Like I said, I'm not an accountant or a business person, but like I could plan out the profits, plan out things like that, contacting businesses so that I made a profit with the square raffles as well. And yeah, it is really just confidence, because even things like this I would have never done before, sort of talking on Zoom with my like camera on and my microphone on. I think it's really sort of important skills to have right now with online university. And I think not just fundraising, but things like this have helped me get better scores in like online presentations and things like that, because you get more used to putting yourself out there and being confident in the way you speak. So yeah, I think it's really is just confidence and just being able to put my mind to something, which is a bit cliche and what everyone else said, but yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's good. I feel like all of you have identified some really like good transferable skills. So hopefully everyone who's come today, who is like watching the recording, can see how it is really beneficial in like a lot of ways, like things that you discover about yourself when you fundraise. I've got like a couple of questions actually that are relatively similar, so I'll try to combine them. So firstly, well, actually, I don't think I'm going to combine them. I'll just try to go with it. So if COVID wasn't around, what fundraising ideas would you like to try out, you think? Or would you have done? Or would have planned? I imagine specifically, Ellie, you would have probably planned something back before we went into lockdown, obviously. But then we did go into lockdown. So
Yeah.
let's go back to you then. What would you have done?
Well, like I said, I was planning things, and to be honest, I was just getting rejections, but like ideas that have worked for other people, like just because they didn't work for me, is going into school and like doing like a non-uniform day and like £1 for every person, things like that. That's what I was trying to do, but my school was just like ghosting me. So yeah. But also doing shopping bags, you know, packing shopping bags for people. I've done that with something that my brother was fundraising for, and I've helped him with that, and they raised quite a bit of money. But also things like the square raffles can be done in person. So I don't know like if this is applicable for everyone else, but my brother plays rugby, so my mum goes and there's like with parents there, and like the square raffles, originally I was going to still do them, but my mum was going to take them to her friends and do it in that way. So a lot of these ideas that I've done online, I guess, could still be done in person. But yeah, there is loads of ideas that you can do like after COVID if that's what you're planning. And I think they can still raise quite a lot of money.
Definitely. I think, yeah, Nancy, what would you have loved to do as a fundraiser if not COVID?
I mean, I started fundraising when there was COVID, but if I think about it and I think of a world where there wasn't COVID and what I would have done, I think I would have maybe gotten people to join in a basketball tournament and pay an entry to play, and you do like teams, everyone plays, you get a winner in the end who gets the prize. But I think definitely like sports, group sports would get a lot of attention from both males, females, big people, short people, old, young, everyone.
That's very fair. No, I think sports tournaments is definitely something like I miss from like pre-COVID times that people could do. And then Erin, what would you have done if not COVID, you think?
I think I would have done a bake sale. I really enjoy baking and like cake, so it always goes down well, especially in like the Hive in our student union building at UEA. I also really liked the idea of holding a quiz night. There is a pub in my town that you can rent out the top room for, and inviting like friends and family to come along to a quiz night would have been really nice. And yeah, I think just group things, getting people involved, like having people on walks with you, and making sure that they post on their social media might have been quite good. But yeah, there are loads of things that you can do, and loads of things that I'm sure people will come up with when COVID is less of an issue.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think I'll probably like speak on behalf of all people who've been like involved in student fundraising from before COVID, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you lot have definitely, and you and other fundraisers who've started fundraising in COVID, you are the people who've really like innovated the fundraising ideas, because I think everyone else have had their set ideas, kind of the similar ones to what you mentioned, like a pub quiz, a bake sale, a tournament, and people were kind of almost like fed up of those, and no one could like come up with anything new. And now all of you who just like started raising, in the middle of a pandemic, because you didn't necessarily have that predisposition, to do specific things that everyone else does, you just came up with the most like creative ideas, and I feel like it's definitely seen both across the board but also like throughout the country, and like people involved in fundraising, which I think is amazing, because it definitely brings so much inspiration, to everyone else who just would have never thought of it before, because I'm sure like, making creative things and sell them would probably work in a non-COVID environment as well, like reading 7 books in 7 days is still as impressive. Like, you don't need to go and do a bake sale. It probably takes a lot, I wouldn't say a lot more effort, but you need to buy ingredients, all sorts. I would definitely watch a tour of Rome, even like out of COVID, because realistically, when do I get to travel there? Who knows? So I think there's a lot of value in it, despite the situation and how it all turned out. I think just last quick round for a question before we get to like the final words is that what would be one event that you would like advise everyone to do, like think, or like one fundraiser you think, okay, that will be a good one, like I know it works, and then what would be the event that you say absolutely don't do that, it's just not worth it, like I've tried it, it went, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say, it just didn't go as planned. So yeah, I don't know, Nancy, what would you advise people to do, and what would you advise people absolutely not to do?
Do a tour of your city. That's do that. And absolutely don't. Well, I know a lot of people do loads of physical activity challenges, which I mean, I am trying to do activity because I need to get ready because we're going to Everest, maybe, hopefully, if COVID goes away. But I don't share it. But what I want to say is, do not overdo it. Like, give yourself a set amount that you know you can do. Because I saw a friend of mine from another charity. He did 42 times 40. I don't know what's the name of it, but he was running like for 5 hours. Well, oh, it was he ran the whole day for like 3 days without sleeping. It was crazy. So don't do that.
Fair enough. No, yeah, definitely. I can imagine people like, tomorrow just sending through like videos of every single town across the UK. Okay, Ellie, what would you advise people to do and what not to do?
Sorry if you can hear the dogs in the background, they're getting fed, but I think even though I've spoke about the earrings and it was the most enjoyable, if you were wanting like a really easy, like sort of maybe last minute one, probably the selling you stuff on eBay and making sure you mention the charity, or just the square raffles, because they're just so easy to do. You literally just need to print off like 100 numbers or whatever, post it on Facebook, get your mom to share it, get your grandma to share it, whatever, and try and get a business to sponsor you. But you don't always have to like go really far out. Like sometimes there's someone in your family that you might not have known really had anything to do with the business, but they could ask their boss to like sponsor you, and you might just have to wear like a top or something. That's basically what I did. So like I think they're really easy, really quick options. And then I don't know, because like obviously, like I said, the school ones didn't work for me, but I'm sure they would have worked for like other people. But I think like, those shop ones where people like go through the app and pay for like Boohoo whatever, and it gives you a certain amount of money. I forgot what it's called. I think they're good, but I found that really hard to get people to do, because most people just forget. Like they'll see something they want on ASOS and they're just like buy it, and instead of going through the app. So I think they're good maybe as like a side thing, but probably not something I would rely on, and not something that's made me much money.
Fair enough. Thank you, Ellie. And Erin, what would you suggest people doing and not doing?
I think doing probably, I might go slightly against Nancy's advice here, but like the active challenges seem to do really well in terms of like distance, but like definitely know your limits as to how far you're going and what you're doing. And the quirky stuff again, I come back to the bean bath. Like people are keen on seeing like weird stuff on Facebook. They want to see you embarrass yourself, I think. Like that's like the big thing. In terms of what I wouldn't do, I think you know what's going to work for you, and you know what you're going to enjoy, and you know what you're going to be enthusiastic about. Like there are loads of fundraising ideas and there are loads of things that people will suggest to you, but if you're not vibing with it, then like you don't have to do it. And I think know your limits. Like if you've got stuff on, if you've got coursework due in, if you've got XYZ to do, then choose a simple fundraiser that you know you'll have time for. You're not under constant pressure to come up with a fantastically innovative one each time. You can fall back on like the safe ones, which you will find easy to handle and finish.
Definitely. I think, Erin, you almost captured the most important part of what everyone's kind of said here, that because of how different everyone is and like the different replies obviously you've given to this question, different answers, it's like, do you what you enjoy doing, and that's what would bring you money in a way, like, or at least you wouldn't be dreading doing it in a certain extent, you know what I mean? Like if it was something that you're vibing with, that's good. Like, if you find it funny to like, I don't know, do like a food challenge, or like if you enjoy running, do a run. But if you don't like running, like don't make yourself run marathons. Like it's just not gonna happen. You're not gonna enjoy it. Yeah, like if you enjoy doing like a quirky, like I don't know, challenge, like bath and beans, fair enough. But like, don't do it if you're allergic to beans. Like that's not gonna work. So that's probably definitely something to take away from this. And I guess if each of you could just give like one motivational sentence as the last words, that will be very nice for people to like start fundraising if they're doubting. Ellie, you go.
I think it comes back to what I said earlier. Just take yourself out of the equation. It's not about you. It's about whatever charity you're fundraising for. So dig deep and just get on with it. And yeah, have fun with it because it's not a bad experience.
Nancy?
I'm just gonna go follow that one. I don't know motivational. I sorry.
Fair enough. I think make a tour of a city would be good enough. Go for it. And Erin?
Yeah, whether it's a small step or a big step in terms of what you're posting or what someone's donated, like it's a step closer than you were at the beginning of the day. You know, you're getting there, you're doing it, and you're doing great.
That was very motivational, Erin, one step at a time. No, thank you very much to everyone. I will stop recording now, but thanks a lot to our panelists, Erin, Nancy, and Ellie, and thank you to everyone who came.